to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. Today's show, of course, is being brought to you by Bet Online, Charger Bolt Family, and Rock Solid Sports Memorabilia. If this is your first time tuning into the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Dan Wolkenstein. I'm not even going to waste any time, sir. How are you doing?
Good. I'm hungry. I want some corn dogs. How are you?
I would think that our special guest that we have coming on the show today is a big advocate of the corn dog variety, much in the way of Jackie Moon from Semi-Pro. I think he's going to be happy about this for the first time in too long, Dan. Fernando Ramirez is rejoining the show as our special guest, talking everything from players, draft class evaluations from his own opinions, what's the latest from the OTAs. I'm always excited about this. Fernando brings a lot of energy, great opinions, sometimes the occasional hot take, which is always great to hear. But in general, it's always just a fun episode with him.
Jake, over or under Will Ferrell references in this episode? I'm going to go 1.5.
See, this is tough because when we start talking ball with Fernando, 75% of the time he stays right on the line. And then he'll vary off into tangents, but it's all football related. And then it'll be the occasional, Will Ferrell corn dog drop, something like that. What'd you say, 2.5?
1.5.
1.5. I'm going to go over.
Fine. Over. Bet Online. Let's talk about him.
It's just like I talk about that. Anyways, Bet Online remains your number one source for all of your sports betting needs this season. Always the fastest and easiest way for all of your sports betting inflow, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your own home. Just get into the action today and head on over to betonline.ag or use the mobile device to join, and be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Fernando Ramirez joins us on Chargers Unleashed next. Chargers reporter from the Sporting Tribune, friend of the show, dare we say family of the show, Fernando Ramirez joins us here on Chargers Unleashed. Fernando, welcome back, my friend. It's been too long. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? You guys thought I was frozen. No, I'm here. I'm good to go. How are you guys?
Doing great, man. That was a good Jeff Miller impersonation, too, because, when we had him on the show last, it felt like every 30 seconds Jeff was frozen.
Jeff, that only took about 15 seconds for him to get on you, but I'm here to defend you, my friend. That is why I'm here.
Well, what else are we here? So much to talk about today. Fernando, you've been covering this team for a very long time. Obviously, want to talk about kind of your impressions of this Chargers team during camp and OTAs, kind of some first impressions of these rookies. Talk about the veterans and coaches and kind of what's different. Maybe some possible free agents that could possibly still be on this team, as well as just kind of what to expect in 2023. But kind of start this thing off. You've been there at camp, OTAs with the rookies, veterans. What are kind of your first impressions, things that you see there personally that maybe folks who are not there or aren't able to see the videos, like things that those don't capture?
Well, I mean, obviously, I understand everybody is like, oh, well, they're in shorts, they're in T-shirts. But it's the understanding of what's going on the field. Are they getting it? Are they not? Derwin James at the golf tournament, I asked him, I'm like, Derwin, who's a rookie that stood out to you? And then he first off, Quentin Johnston. And I'm like, really? He's like, he's him. And I'm like, and I know that damn phrase is being thrown out there very loosely.
You are too, Fernando. You are him too.
I appreciate that. But it seems like he really is catching on quickly, and that's what the Chargers had talked about. That's what Brandon Staley, Tom Telesco, they had raved about him, that they feel like he could adjust quickly. I asked LT about him. LT said, yeah, he knew. Well, LT said he knew him because of his nephew, and the same thing. He said the same thing, that he adapts quickly. He understands the playbook, and the good thing is the Chargers drafted 2 other TCU Horned Frogs who know him. All of them talk about the same thing, that the adjustments that he has made, it's going to be quick, and he's going to understand how to do things. Coming out, I know that everybody talked about his hands, and that was one of the things, but I'm like, most of his things are like, you can learn how to adjust. Like, I know some people talked about his route running as a thing. Other people talked about his hands. Those are those are things that you can fix. Those are things you can't teach, how to be 6'3" and have the speed that he has. Like, you can't teach that kind of stuff. So the kid already has amazing tools. Obviously, Josh Palmer hasn't been out there for some of the OTAs, and neither has Mike Williams. So we haven't really seen any of that. I think we'll see it more at training camp. That whole combination of how all that's going to work. But as of right now, Quentin Johnston, I think, has made a big impression on the team. And man, if you can add him to this receiving core, and this receiving core can stay healthy, they're going to be a very dangerous receiving core. And I know people were asking, well, what about DeAndre Hopkins? DeAndre Hopkins is not in the Chargers price range. But I mean, could you imagine, like, if you did add him, that would be ridiculous. But obviously, the Chargers are very happy with Quentin Johnston. He just seems like he's getting it as of right now, and it's going to be interesting when he puts the pads on and he keeps moving forward. But man, he's a guy that I think has caught a lot of people's eye, and it's been very impressive to see him so far, and the way he's adapted to the game.
I wanted to transition from some other OTA takeaways from you, Fernando, because obviously I know all the focus, as you mentioned, just goes immediately to Quentin Johnston. We are going to talk about a lot of the other rookies here in just a second, but Chargers have obviously done some different coaching changes over in the offseason, and we've gotten to hear from the likes of Kellen Moore and Derek Ansley, and obviously with you being been covering this team for some time now, is there any differences that come out, especially now that we have actual players on the field and you're actually seeing some of these concepts come into play, whether it's on 7-on-7s and end zone drills or whatever? But Kellen Moore, Derek Ansley, any differences that you see right off the bat just in their style, how they do business, as opposed to what the previous regime was?
I think Derek Ansley's more vocal than, and I'm not trying to say anything about Ronaldo Hill. Ronaldo Hill was great. The players loved him, but I think Derek is more animated, and I think the players really feed off of the animation that he has. I think they like that. And Derwin, like you asked Derwin about it, and he's smiling. And Asante Samuel Jr. smile. Like, these guys are smiling because they know exactly what Derek can bring, and it just seems like he really has implemented himself in a great way. And you're not bringing in somebody new, a new voice. You're bringing in somebody that was already there. You promote him, and now you give him a role, and it feels like he is going to be a big part of the defense, and it feels like the players have really gravitated towards him. Khalil Mack said also that he was excited about him and about this new role that he's going to take. So I think that's one of the areas. And then with Kellen Moore, I don't think we've seen it just yet, just because you've kind of seen, I mean, Justin hasn't really, I mean, today was the first time that he actually did kind of let it rip. He hadn't let it rip before, so it was kind of Easton Stick. And I know I saw people were, oh, Easton Stick is dominating. I'm like, whoa. I was like, but I mean, it's OTAs and everything. So I think with Kellen Moore, it's gonna be more. I don't even think it's gonna be seen during training camp. It's gonna be seen during the games. I think they're gonna be very secretive, I guess, in a sense, during training camp. I think when you're really going to see them throw everything out is during the games. But I feel like this offense, Keenan kind of spoke about it, and I don't want to say that he said that the offense was too neutral at times last year, in the last few years, but you could tell they want to open it up a little bit more. He feels like they're going to go down the field a lot more. And you know what's funny? A lot of people don't realize this, but last year Keenan was going deep a lot more than he had in years past. In that Raiders game, I think he went deep twice. And he caught yep. And then against the Raiders in Las Vegas, he caught that long touchdown pass. He against the Chiefs, he had that long on third, I think it was third or fourth down, the one where he catches it, they go down and they score. So Keenan, I think, is going to be going a little bit deeper. I think their offense is going to be going a little deeper, but I think their emphasis is going to be more on the run game. Corey Linsley spoke today, and he said, hey, we want to do better with the run. We suck. Like, he's like, we need to get better. We need to do better. And it's not just for Austin Eckler. You want to open up the holes for Isaiah Spiller. Isaiah Spiller's a guy, I think we've already seen kind of what Josh Kelly's going to be. I think we've seen what Larry Roundtree kind of is in a sense. Isaiah Spiller's the unknown, and I feel like Isaiah Spiller could come in here, especially with Kellen Moore, and that's who I think is going to benefit the most. And keep an eye on those two undrafted free agents that the Chargers got, rookies. I think they're gonna be able to have a chance to maybe make this team as well, just because Josh Kelly and Larry Roundtree, you still don't know. Like, you've seen it and it doesn't excite you. So now looking at I mean, you know Isaiah's gonna have something, but those two guys, I don't know. So I think Isaiah is going to be the number two, and then there's going to be a question about who's going to be that next guy. But I think Isaiah is going to take a positive step forward, and I think that's what the team is really excited about. But it's going to all start with the offensive line. Can they stay healthy? Rashawn Slater's now back. You move Zion to left guard. Corey Lindsley. You have Sawyer, and then you have Trey Pipkins. And it's crazy because I was just talking about this with Jeff, actually. I'm like, in 2019, we were talking about that Trey Pipkins draft, and we're like, Sioux Falls. We're like, what? Like, where are you getting this guy? And now he gets paid. They developed him. He's done a good job, and now he's back with the team. So if the Chargers offensive line can stay healthy this year and they work tirelessly at being able to open up the run, I really do think that this offensive line is going to be even better because one, you need to protect Justin, but also they need to run the football a lot more consistently than they have in years past because that's I think that's hurt them in the past where it's like, hey, well, at least we have 10, go ahead. And last year, 10 wasn't 100% the whole year. Like he was probably at 10 was
like an 8.2.
Yeah, well, he was at like 70% probably. Like if he had the Iron Man suit, he's probably at 70%. So 65, 70%. So I think that's they're gonna need the running game, especially because you don't want to put that much on him because we saw what happened with Phillip Rivers. They put a lot on him towards the end of the last few years. You don't want to do that. You want to have the running game to kind of help him out with that.
So I think that there's two kind of really big storylines going on in this, I guess, kind of training camp, OTAs going into preseason, obviously regular season. One of which is kind of like the linebacker battle and kind of what's going to happen with Kenneth Murray and Deion Henley and Eric Kendricks and what that group's going to look like. What have you seen so far from the linebacking core? And are there any kind of insights or any kind of predictions or things that you can kind of snap back from that and be like, all right, well, based on what we've seen so far, or just kind of your experience, like, is it going to be a Murray versus Henley who gets that spot? Or is there another kind of path forward where this linebacking core looks a little different?
I think it is, but at the same time, I think this is a huge year for Kenneth because you're gonna I remember in the past, Ray Lewis has said before when he's been on Fox or ESPN or whatever, he's always said the fourth year is when you're gonna find out what kind of player you have. This is Kenneth's fourth year, so they're really gonna find out. But Eric Kendricks has been speaking glowingly about Kenneth Murray. He said, he's been teaching me the playbook. He's showing me things. He's teaching me things. I think we're really developing our chemistry well. So it kind of sounds like Kenneth is going to be that guy. But I remember, I think it was either Tom or Brandon. I can't remember which one it was when they talked about Hanley and they were like, oh yeah, we drafted him to be special teams. I'm like, you don't draft a guy that athletic, that freak of a nature to just be special teams this year. He's going to have a role some way, somehow in the defense. So it feels like as of right now, obviously it's Kenneth Murray's job to lose, but I do think Hanley's I think he's going to push him. I really do think he's going to push him just because the kid's athletic. He understands the game. He's very smart. That's all you've been hearing about him, that you heard how quick and athletic he was at Nevada. And then he goes up to Washington State. You hear the same stuff. It's going to be interesting to see if Kenneth can fend him off. But as of right now, Brandon keeps on talking about it. So does Derek. So does everybody else. They keep on raving about Kenneth Murray and the work that he's put in. So as of right now, it feels like that. But I do think come training camp, it is going to be 9 versus 0 to see who takes that spot. But like I said, they're praising Kenneth right now, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do. But I think Eric is going to be the key kind of linebacker when it comes to third downs, all this other stuff, because he can rush the passer, he can drop back, we saw him a couple, what was it, 2 years ago when he
I was at that game.
He was covering Keenan Allen on that play. So I mean, that I know people are like, oh, he's maybe lost a step, but I still think the guy can ball. I still think he can play. It would have been interesting to see him and kind of Drew Tranquil together if they would have kept that combo. It would have been interesting, but I understand why they kind of made the move. But I do think that that's going to be an interesting competition to watch during training camp.
Real quick, short answer. Ready? You're only allowed to say one name. Kenneth Murray trajectory can go one of two ways, in my opinion. It can go the Jerry Tillery route, or it can go the Trey Pipkins route. Which route is more likely?
Oh, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll go Pipkins. Okay. Just because I've seen more there than I have from Jerry Tillery. Jerry
Okay.
Tillery, I literally, I'm sorry, but I never saw anything that told me, oh, that guy is gonna do something. Like, I just haven't, I haven't seen it. I never saw it. I mean, it was just, I think Uncle Joe Reedy had the stat. I think he had more for penalties that led to first downs than he did sacks in his career for the Chargers. So it was look at Jake's face. So yeah, so I'll give him the benefit, and I'll say more Pipkins than Tillery, but I do have my questions about Kenneth Murray and what he got. Athletically, the dude's a freak of nature. Like, he can do a lot of things, but can he get out of his own? That's been the one thing about Kenneth. Can he get out of his own head? I feel like if he just went out there and played the game for, I don't want to say like for fun. I don't want to be one of those lame-os.
Well, it feels like he cares too much.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, get out of your own head. Just go out there and play free. Because he's a good kid. He comes from a good family. He's a stand-up guy. But it's just like, play free. Go out there and be a what does he say? Be a goldfish. Just go out there. Like Ted Lasso says, be out there and go be a goldfish. That's what Kenneth Murray needs to do. Be a goldfish.
Transitioning to this year's rookie class, Fernando, obviously the Chargers came into this draft, as far as what it was that they needed, there wasn't really a lot of big-time stars at the top part of the depth chart that they needed to go after. It was mainly depth moves that they needed to shore up. So they go out and
moves for the future.
That is true.
Those two spots that they got at the beginning, they were because they have a lot of money invested in both of those this year, and they know 2 out of the 4 will not be back next year.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because my question in all of this, just when you look at this draft class and how you evaluate it top to bottom, do you feel that the Chargers did what they needed to do when it relates to depth moves for this year and, as you had mentioned, moves for the future?
I think they did, but where I really want to commend them is the defensive line. As of right now, it looks like they're going to have a major, major battle at defensive line for those spots. They could carry 6, I think, at one. Like,
interior,
if they wanted to, they can carry 6. There's no Jerry Tillery holding you down. Like, you have a lot. Man, that guy was an anchor. You have a lot of different players now that you have. Matlock,
not a good anchor. I don't think you meant that a good way.
One. Matlock that dude looks like he is going to be energy on top of energy on top of energy. You brought back my God, Morgan Fox. Thank you. Yeah. And Morgan, you know what the funniest part is? Every year that he's been in the Staley defense, his numbers have gone up. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs this year. But you have obviously Austin Johnson, who's still recovering from surgery. You have Sebastian Joseph Day, I thought he did a great job last year. Obviously in the games that he played, but now you have depth behind him. You have Nick Williams. You have a lot of different guys on there. Then there's an undrafted kid, Gerard Clark. I like him. I think he could potentially try and go up there and try and steal a spot. So there's a lot of depth at the defensive line, which I think is very impressive. By then, you go out and you get an offensive lineman. Again, he kind of feels like I don't know why I'm spacing today. It kind of feels like who played left tackle last year? God,
Jamari Sawyer.
Jamari Sawyer. Thank you so much. He kind of feels like a Jamari Sawyer kind of selection, like a guy you can develop. He's going to be in camp. You're going to be able to have him there. You're going to be able to mold him in a sense. And then obviously he's going to be able to grow. So I thought that was a very good move. They've done some good. They made some good moves with this draft class, and it's kind of like you said, kind of like what we were saying. It's kind of for the future, like linebacker role. Like, what if it's and obviously I was talking about Jordan McFadden. My bad. But it's kind of for the future. Like, if you're not gonna if one of the receivers is gonna leave, well, Quentin Johnston's there. Tooley's now there as a pass rusher. You have some pieces. Devin's there or Hanley's there if Kenneth Murray's not going to be the guy. So you have some pieces there. So, and obviously you need a Darius Davis for a returner because you need some of that speed. Which, by the way, they just said, "Oh, he's a returner." I think he's going to be using this offense in some way. I think he'll be I think he might be what they hoped Joe Reed was going to be. So I think he'll be used in different ways, but I really do think that this draft class is better than what people initially thought. I know people at the beginning were like, "Oh, what the heck?" But Dayon, Quinn, and Thule were three solid pickups at the beginning, and then everything else was depth. McFadden, I'm telling you, I really like that McFadden pick. I really think that he's another guy that I think he's going to take reps at center, guard, tackle. He could do it. He could be anywhere, and I think that's going to be a good move with him. But yeah, definitely, I think this draft class is better than what people initially thought it was.
We're definitely going to get into kind of your expectations for this season, of course, barring health. But before we get into that, there are some.
That's the key, bold, italics.
How many times have we been asking that question?
How many years? How many years? It's been 84 years.
Okay, Rose. So I guess the question a lot of people are having now still, and I have this question.
Could have let Leo on.
They should have just let him drift. He's just laying there.
I know, but
the
it's funny because
I think
they debunked it too, and they said no, he wouldn't have fit. But I'm like, okay, the dude was skinny, like he needed to eat a sandwich, and the
Take
guy
turns.
Like, yeah, exactly. There you go. Pedal with your feet. Come on. She was literally found like 30 seconds later, wasn't she? Like
we're officially off the rails at this point.
Exactly.
This episode's going down with the Titanic, apparently.
No, it's on the way up.
Okay, here we go.
We're the iceberg.
Oh. Okay. So a lot of people are still wanting, myself included, some more depth, specifically on the defensive side, possibly safety, corner, as well as edge.
You want John Johnston, that's why.
John Johnston would be nice. I think right now this kind of linchpin in the safety.
They're really hyping up JT Woods. They're really hyping up. Yeah, that's who. And Derwin spoke about it, and he feels like JT is going to be able to take a step forward this year. It seems like the coaches are really happy with their safety, like their safeties, but something tells me that they're going to still look at that and maybe try and you have to bring in a veteran back there, especially because you guys know at one point Derwin drops down and he's like linebacker. He plays other places. You can't just leave two guys back there in the unknown.
Alohi and JT Woods behind you. Like that's.
Yeah. And Alohi's done a serviceable job. He's been good, but he's been serviceable, but you need something else back there. So I don't know. I thought slam dunk John Johnston would be a part of this team, but maybe the Chargers will sit back after minicamp, and I think that's where they're going to sit back. They're going to look and they're going to analyze and bring other guys. But you said pass rush. I'm also very concerned about the pass rush because after Thule, we don't even know what Thule's going to be. Chris Rumpf has not been what I think they expected him to be. And we saw last year with Joey Bosa going down, you had Khalil Mack, and Khalil Mack did a serviceable, like he did a good job for being triple, like in San Francisco, they were triple teaming him like at one point. He still got a sack on Jimmy G. So I really do think that they need more depth at pass rush, because you can never have enough pass rushers, and you see everybody else in the AFC West is loading up on pass rushing. They like the Raiders just drafted Tyree Wilson. I know that the Chiefs have young pass rushers, but they have pass rushers. The Broncos, obviously, they are known. Well, Bradley Chubb is now gone, but you know that they're going to have a pass rush. So I think that the Chargers need more of a depth at pass rushing. But my bad, you said another position. I can't remember what other position you kind of wanted.
Corner, safety, and edge.
Oh, you wanted more corner.
The corner, Jake and I talked about this recently, was like J.C. Jackson's kind of like the linchpin there. Like if he's available, then they're fine. But if he's not available, then I think they need one, because otherwise,
with JC
goes into the third role, Taylor slot back.
With JC, what really hurt him last year was he got hurt in that second week of training camp, and that's really the week that they start picking it up, and you start understanding the lingo, and you start picking up stuff on the field. And I really think that hurt JC getting hurt during training camp, and I think if he can come in and he can have a full training camp, I really do think he'll get stuff done, because I understand.
Wait. Do you think he's going to have a full training camp? Like, is that what the expectations are right now?
That's what everybody indicates, that he should be ready by training camp. But obviously, should and could and all that is different. But he looks like he might be ready for training camp. But I think if he has a full training camp, then he should. I think they'll take it easy with him though. I think I don't think they'll he won't practice every single day. Like I'm sure he'll have like a different kind of schedule. But the thing is, you have to be able to depend on him. And I know Michael Davis had a great season last year, but can he duplicate it? That's what you don't know. Asante Samuel Jr. I think might be taking that next step. And then everybody keeps on talking about Jazier, so I know everybody's excited about him. But yeah, they do need JC Jackson. They need a player like him. And I think if he can have a full training camp, I think they'll be fine at corner. But that's the thing.
Beers right now. Beers on me, Fernando. If you're there for training camp, six-pack coming your way when we see you there.
And the thing is too is that he obviously I know he had some bad moments last year, but he also had some positive moments, I thought. But it's just gonna be a full understanding. And then I think the Chargers kind of I don't want to say they need to change the playbook when he's on the field, but you need to the one thing that I understand from Brandon and I've understood from him is he changes not the playbook, but he adjusts to your game. So I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna adjust the playbook for when he's on the field, because he's more of and that's the thing. Will they adjust to him and his style of play? That's what's going to interest me to see, because I know last year they really didn't, and he kept on talking about it well, I'm more of this and I'm not that, and it's kind of okay, so what is Brandon going to change it? And Brandon really didn't say much about it, so I'm interested to see kind of what kind of player the Chargers are going to get back when it comes to JC Jackson. But man, I hope he makes it back, because I remember last year they were talking about, this could be career ending. And you're like, whoa, that's crazy. But then you see him working. You see all the players are saying, man, that guy's a dog. He's in there. He's working his tail off. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, well, at least there's positive there. And now you're talking about, he might be ready for the start of training camp. You're like, okay, wow, okay, let's get that going. So as of right now, though, if he has a full training camp and he's healthy going into the season, I think the Chargers could be set at corner. But that's gonna be a huge question mark. And he has great players to practice on: Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer. I mean, he's gonna get a lot of work during training camp with facing those kinds of guys.
I think the main reason that corner discussion came up with Dan and I is because we weren't really sure how much confidence these coaches were going to have in Jazeer Taylor, and I think he's putting those notions to bed really fast. He had 3 pass breakups today in practice. So, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. It sounds like they're really high on him to take over that slot position, because we kept thinking, okay, is there a possibility that if it gets to that point where maybe they're not 100% ready to go with him yet, do they bring back a Bryce Callahan?
Well, I don't even know. Yeah, no, my bad. Real quick, I don't want to lose this train of thought, but I think also you could be seeing Asante jump into the slot and Jazier outside. So there's going to be, I think they're going to use a lot of different formations to kind of do stuff with that, because obviously, and I mean, probably your best cover guy is your safety in Derwin. So that's gonna be another guy, because I remember last year in that Raider game, the first Raider game, at the end of the game, they were putting Derwin on Devontae Adams, and Derwin was the one covering Devontae. So I saw that a couple of times last year, that at times they had Derwin covering their best guy towards the end of the game, which, I mean, you don't see a lot of safeties being able to come down and cover their best receiver, especially a guy like Devontae Adams. But my bad. But yeah, Jazier Taylor is a guy that you keep on hearing a lot about right now, and it's a guy that they really have a lot of confidence in. But obviously, if you have JC Jackson, now you have a luxury of, okay, we can do this. We can send out different formations. We don't just have to depend on JC. We have Michael Davis. We have Asante Samuel Jr. We have Jazier. And then not to mention, somebody's going to make this team, whether it's a cornerback, an undrafted free agent's going to make this team, 1 or 2 usually. So we'll see what 1 or 2 kind of jump out and come out. But I definitely think they're happy with their cornerback situation.
Tywon Mullen.
That's who Dan wants.
Okay.
To make the team.
There you go. So I mean, that's I think they're happy with it, but I understand where you guys are coming from. If it was me, I would have brought back Bryce Callahan, but it seems the message I'm kind of getting is they wanted to get younger at certain positions. I know that's what Kyle Van Noy said, because my opinion, I would have brought back Kyle Van Noy. I thought Kyle Van Noy
100%.
was serviceable. He had 6 sacks in the last 6 games, or 6 sacks in the last 6 games of the season, including the play. He had a sack on Trevor Lawrence in that playoff game, I believe. If not, he had 5 sacks to end I think he had 5 sacks to end the season. My bad. That's what it was. He had 5 sacks to end the season, and it's like one in each game. And you're like, okay, at the end, Kyle understood the defense. He kind of got into it. The pass rush, he kind of adjusted himself to it. I thought Kyle would have been a very good addition, especially if Joey and Khalil are healthy this season. You can put him back at his natural kind of position where he can do a lot of different things, and he can blitz, or he can play back at linebacker. He can do a lot of different things. So I'm very surprised that Kyle Van Noy wasn't a discussion, but seeing what he tweeted out the other day, I kind of understand what direction the Chargers are moving in.
So you mentioned health, and we're wrapping up with Fernando Ramirez, friend, family of the show. You mentioned kind of like health being like the key.
You mentioned health.
Well, we all mentioned. Sorry, you mentioned health specifically being like the key thing. Expectations for this year, and I don't want to talk about like, are they a Super Bowl contender? Like, it's not no. But like expectations in terms of like, what is this team? What are you expecting to see differently this year versus last year?
I think Justin Herbert is going to throw himself into the MVP conversation. I think if Kellen Moore is, when you feel out the pool, you dip your little right fat toe into there, and you're like, Kellen. That's how close Kellen Moore is to a head coaching job. He's feeling the waters. Justin Herbert is the kind of player that can get you a head coaching job no matter what, whenever you want. Guys, Joe Lombardi interviewed for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job 2 years ago. Imagine, that was coming off of their 2021 season, the first year of Brandon Staley. Can you imagine if Kellen Moore comes out there and Justin throws for close to 5,000 yards, 40-something touchdowns, and the intercept? And actually, I think the interceptions are going to be down this year, just because last year with the ribs and with everything else, I feel like, and a lot of those interceptions weren't his fault. If you really go back and look at them, a lot of them weren't his fault. So I think Justin Herbert is going to throw himself into the MVP conversation, but I think Kellen Moore's offense is going to let him thrive. I think I said this and some radio station asked me, I think Quentin Johnston is going to surprise a lot of people. I think he could possibly be 1,000-yard receiver. There's my hot take for it. I think
Fernando gone messed up and got everyone excited, and it's not. I think
if Quentin Johnston is healthy, and this offense is healthy, I think Quentin Johnston is I think he's 1,000-yard receiver. There's something about that kid. I'm telling you, there's something about him that I really do think that this kid could be something special for this team. But it's just obviously getting through training camp, getting through everything. How much are the Chargers going to let him play during preseason? We know that they don't really let rookies play all that much. I don't think we're going to see Justin at all during preseason, which is a good thing, obviously. But I really do think that this offense is going to be great. My question is the defense. The defense has not been what a lot of people had hoped. We saw it last year for 4 or 5 weeks. The defense really clamped down. You looked at some of the opponents and you're kind of like, okay. But I do think that the defense took a step in the right direction. But now this year, can Joey and Khalil be the brothers of destruction that everybody thinks they're going to be? The Dudley brothers, are they going to be exactly?
Keep going, dude. I'm liking these.
I know exactly.
Go.
Are they going to be?
LOT.
Are they going to be exactly what everybody thought? We don't know. Like, can they stay healthy? Joey says that he's the healthiest he's ever been. I remember last year, Joey told us that when he bent over to pick up a water bottle, he couldn't even bend over to pick up a water bottle because his groin area hurt that much. And now it feels like he says that he's healthy. He feels like he's ready to go. He looks leaner, but he looks bigger. Like, he looks like he gained a little bit of muscle, but he lost fat. Khalil looks great, but it's like you guys said, the linebackers. Can the linebackers hold up? Can you stop the run? You're going to face a lot of really good running backs this season. Heck, if the whole Dalvin Cook thing happens, you're probably going to face Dalvin Cook week 1 against Miami, but it seems like a lot of different teams are trying to go after him. That I think the Jets just threw in their hats. A lot of teams are throwing in their hats to try and get Dalvin Cook, but that's going to be key. By the way, screw the schedule makers. I hate you guys so much. Why, Fernando? Why do you hate them? How do you give us Kansas City versus the Chargers in the last game of the season. Like those two should have been right down, one in the beginning of the season, one in the middle, and let us have Herbert. I see Herbert versus Mahomes as a Rocky Balboa movie. Like I see it Rocky versus Apollo Creed kind of a thing. Like
now it's gonna be like Rocky versus Jake by week 17 because.
But like, okay, see, and when I wrote,
even gonna be playing.
Well, no. So when I wrote my article, I said, in a perfect world, this game is for the division. AFC West is on the line. The lights are bright. Sunday night football. Chargers versus Chiefs. Mahomes versus Herbert. Winner take all. In all reality, it's going to be the Charger trying to fight for a playoff spot. The Chiefs are in, but you just never know. You never know. Kansas City could maybe it all catches up to them this year, and boom. But we obviously don't know. But the schedule makers piss me off because I enjoy, like, everybody's like, oh, I love Allen versus Mahomes. I like Herbert versus Mahomes. That's my favorite, and I'm not because I cover the Chargers, but I just think I have a lot more fun watching Herbert and Mahomes just going back and forth. And those games are usually back and forth. I think the Chargers have led most of those games, and Mahomes just pulls it out at the end because of some miracle or some weird thing, but it's just crazy to watch. But I think that the question marks come with the defense. Can the defensive line hold up? Special teams, Ficken has done a good job with the special teams. If now you can add Darius Davis is a touchdown machine, or maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns during the season, and he's returning them, well, except for these new stupid rules, but it kind of hurts you a little bit. But I'm saying, like, if Darius Davis could be that returner that everybody thinks he could be, then I really do think that the special teams will take another step forward. But I think it's all going to rely on the defense. Can the defense stop teams? Can they get off the field? Third down has obviously been a huge question mark for the last few years. If you can get off the field on third down and you can make stops and you can get the ball back and create turnovers, and they should have, and the Chargers should, I mean, with the playmakers that they have on this defense, with the money that has been spent on this defense, they should be able to do it. But it's going to be a question but I think the offense is going to be spectacular. The defense is going to be my huge question mark this season.
Wow. Fernando.
I'm just saying, I mean, I that Quentin Johnston, I'm just telling you, like, that's my hot take for this year. I think if healthy, if he plays all 17, I think he's 1,000-yard receiver, and maybe moving forward. And I don't know what's going to happen, because Keenan could have a huge year and they decide, you know what, maybe we do something where we give him a new contract and do something with him or something else. But I think moving forward, the Chargers are going to be happy. And the one thing about it real quick is that the Chargers are in a great spot because of this way. The way that they've kind of drafted, there's guys that are willing to help each other. Like Keenan's willing to help this kid. Like, it was Keenan's birthday, and on Keenan's birthday, he decides to go to the hotel of Quentin Johnston with the rest of the guys to go talk to him. Like, on his birthday, he decides to go do that. Like, they chatted up with him. They talked about it with him. They broke some stuff down. So to have somebody like Keenan Allen to be like, hey, kid, come over here. And that's the thing. That's what I've noticed too during OTAs. As soon as they get off the field, where does Quentin Johnston go? Right to 13. Starts talking to 13. Starts breaking stuff down with 13. And it's just special. That's why I said the stuff, and that's why I wrote about that night on draft night. The question marks that they have on him is fixable. Why? Because Keenan Allen's one of the best route runners in the NFL, if not the best. His hands are, no. Keenan's been a reliable guy. When was it, 2 or 3 years ago, where he kind of did have a couple of drops, but lately reliable. Mike Williams, reliable as well when it comes to catching. That's why they call him 80-20. I think that should be starting to change, though. Don't you think he's tilting the scales now to 90-10? Like,
it's getting close, especially
at least 81-19, considering he's 81 on the field.
Well, yeah, but lately it's just been like he just makes incredible grabs. But I think Charger fans should be excited about this receiving core, and obviously watching 10 this year, because I think 10's going to put up regardless of if he has his contract or not. I think he's going to put up he's going to have a special year this year.
Fernando Ramirez, friend of the show, family of the show, always brings fire and hot takes. You're doing all kinds of stuff also besides the Chargers stuff.
Yeah.
For folks who do not follow you or not familiar with your work, where can folks find you? What are you working on that folks can find?
Well, it sucks now because I'm not verified anymore, so I am a loser. No, I'm just kidding. No,
This is the real Fernando we've been talking to this whole time.
exactly. Is it? No, it might be somebody else. I can't wait. People are starting to make fake accounts of different. Like somebody got caught with the Schefter thing. Some fake Schefter guy tweeted out something wrong, and
I think
somebody
it was a Michael Pittman tweet.
That was yeah. That Michael Pittman was the one that was the one suspended. I'm like, wow. Well, I'm gonna be doing some more Padres stuff, so hopefully the Padres can get some good juju off of me and they pick it up. Gary, I'm gonna start working on a piece on Gary Sanchez. That guy has been ridiculous in signing. He's 4 home runs, and he just signed with the Padres like a week and a half ago. Like 4 home runs already. So I'm gonna work on something with him. Doing some UFC stuff coming up. Doing a lot of different things. So yeah, my Twitter is at RealF Ramirez. Instagram, same thing. TikTok, same thing. I don't really post that much on TikTok. I'm gonna try and get more on it, but my TikTok mainly I use I've gained a lot of WWE followers, so I talk more WWE on TikTok. So yeah, so hey, Seth Rollins is in the new Captain America movie. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yes, he is.
He has a major role in that movie too. So let's get this writer's block out of here. I want that crap already resolved so that we can get back to movies. There's a lot of movies that are coming out that I want to see. So are you excited about Indiana Jones?
I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it.
I'm very excited because
I can see the CGI every single time when they put...
Yeah, it's that, and when I really look at it, I'm like, damn, it's pretty damn close to Last Crusade. And then I see Harrison's reaction to it, just emotionally when he's been in the press talking about it. And like this is his swan song. And he seems like he's really happy about it, but I'm trying to just temper the expectations a little bit because the fourth one grew on me eventually, but I was a little bit disappointed with.
And Shia is a really good actor. Shia is a really good actor, but it felt like their personalities kind of clashed a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm trying to just keep things at an even keel for this one as far as that hype goes.
Yeah, I mean that I'm excited for that. The Flash. I actually watched Fast 10. I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was great. I'm one of those people. I'll watch it, and you can give me Fast 39, and I'll still go watch it in the movie theater. I think it's fun. The only thing I will not go watch it in is that 4D DX crap where they move you, and I was seeing videos and people's popcorn were going up in the air and stuff. I'm like, I'd be pissed. I'm not paying $30-$40 for popcorn for it to be flying in the air while Dominic Toretto is trying to save the world. No siree. So yeah,
family.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. And corn dogs.
That's right.
Dogs. Yes,
that's right.
Exactly. For Jackie Moon, you can find him at Jake T. Hefner. Myself, you can find at Dan W. Sports. We know Fernando Ramirez where you can find him. Fernando, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, it's been a pleasure. It's been too long. We're gonna have you on.
It better not be another year before you guys have me on again. I'm just saying.
Well, I promise.
We'll make the promise right here that we will.
It's funny. I know it's Dan that doesn't want to have me on. Jake, I know you love me. Dan, I don't know why. No, I'm just... Jake loves corn dogs.
That's true.
I do, dude.
Next time, we're gonna plan for this. When we go live on the next show, we're all gonna have corn dogs.
There you go.
We're gonna eat corn dogs live on the show. That feels like a great skit to have, by the way.
I need corn dogs and I need a Flint Tropics jersey.
Fernando, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure. We will obviously have you on during the regular season. I appreciate you as always. Talk soon, all right?
Thank you, guys.